Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with Harry, a former American military serviceman, who now works as a wrestling coach at a college. To stay active, Harry also offers wrestling lessons to students. One evening, his life takes a tragic turn, when he receives a call from Detective Jones, who informs him that his teenage daughter, Jane, is in a coma at the hospital, after being assaulted by her boyfriend. Shocked and devastated, he rushes to the hospital, where he finds Jane unresponsive, and her condition deteriorating. As he sits by her bedside, Detective Jones arrives with news that Jane's boyfriend has been arrested, and confessed to the assault. During the interrogation, the boyfriend reveals that he became violent when she refused his advances, leading to the brutal attack. Overwhelmed with grief and anger, Harry demands that the maximum sentence be imposed on Jane's attacker. He vows to take matters into his own hands, if justice isn't served. Shortly after, Jane's condition worsens, and despite the doctor's efforts, she tragically passes away, leaving Harry heartbroken. A few days later, he attends the trial of Jane's attacker. After a long and emotional process, the court sentences the boyfriend to life in prison. Although this brings some relief to Harry, it does little to fill the void left. Struggling to cope, he tries to move on, but is haunted by his loss. He spends his evenings drinking, and looking at photos of Jane, unable to escape the pain. When Detective Jones checks in on him, he pretends he's doing well, not wanting to burden the detective with his anguish. Before hanging up, Jones tells Harry to reach out if he ever needs anything, but he remains alone in his sorrow, trying to find a way to carry on without his daughter. The next evening, he attempts to escape his grief by going to the movies, but his distraction is short-lived. During the film, he notices a young man harassing his female companion. Unable to tolerate the disrespect, he intervenes, chastising the young man, and even throwing popcorn at him to make his point. After the movie, the young man confronts Harry outside, angered by the public scolding. Harry calmly instructs him to take his flirting elsewhere if he can't be respectful, but the young man, now infuriated, pulls out a knife. However, Harry's military training and experience as a wrestling coach quickly takes over, and he easily disarms and subdues the attacker. The next day, Harry returns to his routine, focusing on his role as a wrestling coach. He pays special attention to his favorite student, Katya, offering her guidance and support, both on and off the mat. Seeing a resemblance between Katya and Jane, Harry becomes even more invested in her progress, offering extra classes to help her improve. He sees in Katya the daughter he lost, and channels his grief into helping her succeed. Later in the evening, after wrestling practice, Katya returns home to face her troubled family life. Her stepfather, Tom, is upset that she hasn't brought him food, and when she retreats to her room, to avoid a confrontation, he accuses her of being disrespectful. Tom's frustration escalates, leading him to slap her in anger. Unwilling to endure his abuse any longer, Katya fights back, striking him in self-defense. The situation quickly spirals out of control, until her mother Linda intervenes, stopping the fight. Exhausted and feeling unloved, Katya decides she can no longer stay in a home where she is mistreated and misunderstood. Despite Linda's pleas, Katya makes the difficult choice to leave, seeking solace and safety away from the toxic environment. Meanwhile, as Harry is driving home, he notices Katya alone at a bus stop, looking distressed. Concerned, he pulls over, and invites her to talk in his car. Sensing her need for comfort, he takes her to a nearby restaurant, where she finally opens up about the ongoing mistreatment she faces at home. She explains her stepfather Tom often reprimands and mistreats her, and after their most recent altercation, he kicked her out. Hearing this, Harry's protective instincts kick in. He encourages her to return home, assuring her mother would be worried, and promises to speak with Tom on her behalf. He admits he sees Katya as his own daughter, and can't bear the thought of losing someone he cares about, for the second time. Moved by his concern, she reluctantly agrees to return home, and he drives her back. The next day, he resumes his duties as coach, but his focus is disrupted when he notices a bruise on Katya's face. Concerned, he learns Tom mistreated her again. After class, he decides to confront Tom directly. He drives to Katya's house, giving her some money to buy food, while he talks with Tom. When Tom appears indifferent to his pleas for better treatment of Katya, Harry warns his behavior is affecting her mental health, and threatens to report him to the authorities for child abuse. Tom, however, remains defiant, dismissing his warnings, and telling him not to meddle in his affairs. Infuriated, Harry grabs Tom's arm, and twists it, making his point clear. When Katya returns with the food, she is relieved to see Harry standing up for her. He instructs her to give the food to Tom, who is now in pain, and she defiantly tosses it at his injured arm, feeling a surge of relief and empowerment. The next day, while coaching, Harry is unexpectedly summoned by the police. Upon arriving at the station, he meets with Detective Jones, who is surprised to learn about his altercation with Tom. Harry confesses to the confrontation, and explains the ongoing mistreatment Katya is facing. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Jones advises him to lay low, while he conducts a thorough investigation. Unbeknownst to them, Tom contacted his associate, Sergio, who works for Rich, a notorious mafia lord involved in human trafficking. Tom, seeking revenge and financial gain, told Sergio about his recent altercation with Katya, and accepted a $10,000 offer to sell her to affluent clients, at an upcoming auction. He promised to deliver Katya to Sergio, after she finishes her classes. The same day, Tom calls Katya, pretending to be concerned for her well-being. He offers to pick her up from campus, along with her mother from her office. Surprised by his sudden change in attitude, Katya hesitates, but eventually agrees, hoping for a peaceful resolution. When her classes end, she finds him waiting for her, and unaware of his sinister plans, gets into his car. The next evening, Harry receives a frantic phone call from Detective Jones, who informs him that a report has just been filed, by a mother searching for her missing daughter. The mother is Linda, desperately seeking her daughter Katya. The news hits Harry hard, and he immediately suspects foul play, especially when he learns Katya has been missing since yesterday. Determined to find her, he races to the college, to check the security cameras. Upon arrival, he persuades the security guard to show him the camera recordings from outside the school. His worst fears are confirmed, when he sees footage of Tom picking up Katya, before she disappeared. Convinced that Tom is responsible, he sets out to confront him. He arrives at Tom's house, trying to keep his composure, as he questions Katya's whereabouts. Tom, however, remains smug, and refuses to answer. Enraged by his arrogance, Harry loses control, and beats him, until he finally confesses to handing her over to Sergio. With the truth out, Harry forces Tom into his car, demanding he lead him to Sergio's location. When they arrive, Sergio is taken aback by Harry's sudden and aggressive entrance. Without hesitation, Harry throws Tom inside, and launches a brutal attack on Sergio, demanding to know where Katya is. Under the pressure of Harry's relentless assault, Sergio admits he handed Katya over to Rich, a man notorious for trafficking women, and holding auctions in a Vegas casino hotel. Sergio's confession reveals Rich will auction off kidnapped girls to wealthy clients, with the highest bidder gaining the right to do as they please. Infuriated by the heinous nature of the operation, and the role Sergio and Tom have played, Harry locks both men in a room, before setting out for Vegas. Before leaving, he contacts Jones, urgently informing him of Katya's abduction, and the mafia's involvement. Jones, realizing the severity of the situation, immediately goes to Linda, to update her on Katya's whereabouts. Despite his initial reluctance, Jones allows Linda to join the investigation, knowing she wouldn't back down. Upon arriving in Vegas, Harry assumes the guise of an auction participant, to infiltrate the operation. At the casino hotel, he is directed to Dale, the hotel's manager, who handles the logistics of the auctions. Dale questions him about how he learned of the auction, and he quickly fabricates a story, claiming Sergio, a close associate, informed him. Dale, sensing no immediate threat from him, hands him a room key, and briefs him on the upcoming virtual auction, scheduled for 11 p.m. While in his room, Harry places a call to Jones, who just arrived at the Vegas police station. Harry urgently requests Jones and the other police units hold off on raiding the casino hotel, as he hasn't yet located Katya, who is still in danger. However, the Vegas police chief, Vanessa, rejects his proposal, and insists on conducting a raid as soon as possible. Frustrated, Harry warns such a raid would likely prompt the mafia to hide Katya, and the other abducted girls, making their rescue even more difficult. He explains his plan is to participate in the auction, gather information on the girls' whereabouts, and then signal the police to move in. After hearing his reasoning, Vanessa reluctantly agrees. At precisely 11 p.m., Harry enters a room to take part in the auction. As images of numerous young girls appear on the screen, Harry's heart races. He finally sees Katya's photo. He quickly places a bid for her, but a wealthy Arab bidder offers a much higher amount. Desperate, Harry tries to increase his bid, but ultimately, he loses the auction. Realizing time is running out, he immediately contacts Jones, urging him to deploy the police force at the casino hotel, while he begins his own search for the girls Rich has imprisoned. Jones and his team hurry to the casino hotel. Meanwhile, Harry confronts Dale, who reveals Katya is at Rich's headquarters, a warehouse near the airport. Without wasting a moment, Harry alerts Jones about the warehouse location, and sets off to rescue Katya. When he arrives at the warehouse, he pretends to be there to pick up Katya, claiming he won her at the auction. Rich's right-hand man, Martin, is suspicious and refuses to let him in, insisting he needs authorization from Rich. Thinking quickly, Harry asserts he is a close friend of Rich's and has special permission to retrieve Katya. Convinced by his confident demeanor, Martin allows him to enter, accompanied by one of the goons. Inside the warehouse, Katya spots him, and in her relief, accidentally calls him coach, tipping off the goon they know each other. Forced into a confrontation, Harry swiftly overpowers the goon, and leads the girls to an underground area, where they can be safe. But just as they think they are out of danger, Rich unexpectedly appears, throwing a wrench into Harry's plan. He orders Martin to move all the girls back to the holding room, while he deals with Harry personally. With a cold smile, he levels his pistol at Harry, cornering him, and leaving him with few options. At this critical moment, Jones and his police team arrive at the warehouse. Just as Rich is about to pull the trigger, the police open fire, disabling the mob boss, and saving Harry in the nick of time. With Rich and his men neutralized, Harry and the police successfully rescue Katya and the other abducted girls, exposing the American Mafia's syndicate in the process. As the dust settles, Harry feels a deep sense of relief, knowing Katya is safe, and can finally be reunited with her mother, who has been anxiously waiting for her daughter's return. As Harry and Jones stand outside the warehouse, Jones reveals he has another case, and asks if Harry would consider helping him out. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.